Hey everyone, my name is Logan Fields. I am the founder and creative director of The App Guys, and this is App Stories. Today we have the co-founder and CEO of VlogEasy, one of the top apps in the App Store right now, which is a huge feat. And we're going to talk about his whole story. How long did it take to get developed? How costly was it? Tips and tricks to getting started. We're going to hear the whole story. Chris Carmichael. Hey, man,
Hello.
thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And just to clarify, we're not top apps in the overall app store, but we're top 20-ish video apps in the app store right now.
Got it. Yeah, in the video category, which is a great category, by the way. Like a huge category. So I love it, and I'm so happy for you. So why don't you just kind of tell us the story of how you came up with the idea, and then how you started, how much did it cost, how long did it take, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I mean, my background, I've been doing tech startups for almost 10 years now. Got into, I became one of the first Snapchat influencers, quote unquote influencer. Cool. Back in 2015, built about 150,000 followers. And I was doing brand deals with world-class brands like Disney, Universal, Lionsgate, Taco Bell, NHL. I was literally the first guy on the Snapchat scene. And basically, Snapchat didn't want us to become, they didn't want to work with their creators that were emerging on the platform. They just wanted to focus on being a chat app. And they made it a policy not to work with us at the time. And that just kind of, it was kind of frustrating because I'm like, am I going to build my brand in a garden that doesn't even want to work with us? So I ended up leaving Snapchat. And since then, I've been building various video apps. The first was called Slinger. It was a place to upload old Snapchat stories. So if you create a Snapchat story, there was no place to put it at the time. And all these artists were creating all that content. So we built Slinger to be like the vertical video YouTube. That ended up failing. We learned a lot from that. And then we built an app called BitSmash, which was another social network where you can basically collaboratively create content with people around the world. So the idea is you post out a story or a video, people can react with their own videos, and then you can take their videos and add them to the story that you're telling to make them become part of the story. And that ended up being a failure as well. And we had raised about $750K from the founders of Candy Crush, Amplify LA, and Macro Ventures about 2 years ago. And about halfway through our funding cycle, funding, we realized we need to focus on utilities. Let's stop thinking about social network. Let's really try to hone in on how to be provided as much value as possible. It was my girlfriend actually who really kind of pushed us to think about that. I remember we were on a road trip to Lake Tahoe, and we were thinking really hard about it, and we realized jump cutting is one of the top trends in YouTube videos right now. And we realized it takes a lot of time to jump cut. And we said, well, what if we could build an app that automatically does the jump cutting for you? You don't have to do any work. You just hit record, vlog like you normally would, and the content is ready to go. So we thought, why hasn't anybody else done this yet? Like, it's kind of an obvious idea once you think about it. And then we started building it, and we realized how hard it was actually to get that kind of product right. So many different factors. Like background noise and all these different things that we had to go through, and it was really a big challenge for us to figure out. But we finally relatively cracked it. So we said, okay, like it's so obvious that this feature needs to be built. What other features are kind of obvious that need to be built? Like, if nobody's thought of jump cutting, like what else are nobody thinking about yet? So our second idea was basically integrating database of movie and TV clips. In a lot of popular vlogs, you'll see all of a sudden they'll throw in like a meme of like some movie or some really short 6-second clip. So we said, okay, like what other platforms are out there that already do this? Let's see if we can incorporate them into the tech we've already built. So that's what we did. We found a company called Yarn. They've already indexed all the movies and TV shows. So right in VlogEasy right now, you can go in. and you can add, you can type in any phrase or sentence, and you can instantly search for all the movies and TV clips with that exact sentence. Then you easily just put it into your vlog.
That's awesome.
So then we're like, okay, like, no, how has nobody thought of both of those things, incorporating those into you know, a video app?
If I could get in real quick, what's amazing about that is that's more advanced than Apple Messenger, than the Messenger on our iPhone, the GIF library. That's more. You have a more advanced GIF library than Apple.
That's crazy. I mean, yeah. So you know, now that we've launched, we launched about a month and a half ago, officially. I'll just let you know, we did 65,000 in sales since launch, which is insane. We never thought that would actually happen.
That's awesome.
It's a bit too much for us, so we're trying to kind of just catch up right now.
Yeah.
Our team is only 3 of us. Now there's 4 of us. So we're just trying to catch up. We're preparing some things for a much bigger launch, and you know, if we keep rising up on the App Store, it might not be a good thing for us right now, just because today we're not prepared. I would say about 2 to 3 weeks from now we'll be prepared, but
sure.
At the moment we're just not. So yeah, it's been an interesting journey. That's
amazing. Yeah, and it took you so long. We were talking about this privately earlier. I assume it took you longer than you wanted.
Every single.
You welcome to software.
Yeah.
And so, but I think my opinion is that it so worked out in your favor, because the timing for this is probably never going to be better in the history of the world for this particular app.
Yeah.
And I think you iterating until you got it right was awesome. Now, here's where you're an exception, okay? Is you are there's something called the first mover myth, and we have a decent amount of material out on it. And essentially, people come to me. They say they come to the app guys and they say, "Hey, I have this idea you've never heard of before." And essentially, my answer, and it might be an awesome idea, it might not. It depends. And essentially, my response is, it's not usually better to be first.
Yeah.
Because the first people usually don't do well. You seem to be beating that, though, which is awesome. I think, though, you came to the table with business experience. You came to the table with app experience in order to do that. So let's talk about this first mover thing a little bit. If somebody has an original app idea, what can they do to be successful like you guys have been? Because you're in a dangerous territory if you are the first mover.
Yeah. So yeah, first movers always, you know, it is dangerous. But at the same time, it all comes down to what is your confidence that you're going to continue to out innovate. I'm not a believer in patents and stuff like that. I think I actually bring on the competition myself. I enjoy competition. I think there's a lot of room in our space for innovation. And you know, being a first mover has a lot of advantages as well. Even though it's not ideal, it does have a lot of advantages. You have way more learnings than everybody else who's trying to come up, you know, behind you. You've gone through all the lessons. Like for us, like we can say that our first 2 apps that we built were failures, but they were really just opportunities for us to build our armor, so that now that we actually have a success, we're ready to go. Versus if we were to had our first app be successful, we wouldn't have known what it would have been like to struggle and go through all those really hard times. And through those hard times, that's how we really were able to figure out the DNA of who we are right now. And without those hard times, we really wouldn't have had that DNA. So it's given me the confidence that, okay, I think, you know, people are going to copy us. We have the jump cut feature out. It's going to be a challenge to figure out how to do it properly. It was a huge challenge for us, but that's not the space that I want to play in. I encourage people copying, but you know, we have a vision for the future of mobile video editing, that I don't think anybody's thinking about yet, similar to how nobody thought about jump cut and movie clips and our next 10 features that we're launching.
Yeah.
I have a lot of confidence that we're gonna be able to be a first mover continually, and that if they're gonna copy us, they're gonna have to copy all the features that we're about to create. And you know, what kind of a company do you want to be? Do you want to be a company who's a copier, or do you want to be somebody who's actually innovating?
Sure.
So I would say release that fear, be vulnerable, be the first mover. You know, it can also be looked at as being lazy, of being like, oh, I don't want to be a first mover because I won't be as successful. I'll let someone else do it first. That's not what a first moving, you know, leading company does. They don't think like that.
Sure.
So,
Sure.
So yeah.
Well, how did you guys have the firepower though to get this out? And you just said 10 other features, and that might be overstated. The point is you have a lot of features coming out. How did you just launched not that long ago. You're already doing well. I assume you're having to deal with certain amounts of bug support because of the growth, and you have these plans for features to come out. How do you have the firepower to handle that?
Yep. So we for our first 3 years, I would say, sorry, 2.5 years, we had zero funding. We learned how to build products off of fumes. My girlfriend was keeping me alive for 2.5 years. My other co-founders' family and girlfriends were keeping them alive. So we learned how to work off of nothing. And it was so humbling to us, because as soon as we raised money and had capital, we're like, we know what to do now. Like, it was really hard going for 2.5 years with zero capital, launching products. Like we had nothing. And it's, you know, a great way for a warrior to know how to fight with the resources is to first learn how to fight without them.
I agree. Yeah.
And we went through that for 2.5 years. So when we had capital, you know, we knew how to be efficient from that. We knew let's keep our costs as low as possible. Like let's try to, you know, let's try to make this last as long as possible. And we actually, the same week that we launched this app, you know, very well, it takes way longer than you think to launch.
Yeah.
We launched the same week we ran out of funding. So the same week, a month and a half ago, we were out of that 750K. And in 1 week after launch, we had done 31,000 in sales out of nowhere. So company was saved. We couldn't believe it happened, but somehow we made it happen. And we've done 65,000 in total since then. So yeah.
That's amazing, man. Hey, by the way, let me just thank you for being willing to share those numbers so openly, because there are a lot of people that are going to be watching this and that want to create an app. And when you share like those specifics, it helps people really grasp what's actually going on, instead of talking in generalities. So thanks for that. That's really nice of you. I think it'll help a lot of people.
What's been interesting for us is that the people who have been purchasing the most are buying lifetime deals.
Okay.
Lifetime deal people really love to get involved and get, you know, roll their sleeves up and give brutally honest feedback. And so we got thrown into that world. And I'm somebody who likes to be transparent in general, just because you know, being vulnerable really has a lot of advantages that people don't realize. But we've realized that we want to be a relatively transparent company. We're actually building out public roadmaps to show like when our feature is going to be launching, all that kind of stuff. And other, you know, our competitors might be looking at that and they're going to say, hey, we're going to be able to beat these guys. Look at the roadmap. Like, let's not tell anybody what we're doing. And we're going to, you know, and that might be happening behind the scenes, but that's being vulnerable. Like that is what it takes to build loyalty and trust from people who are investing in your product. Right. So, So yeah.
I like that approach a lot. Now, so if somebody is starting out and let's say they have money themselves or whatever, however they've gotten it. A lot of our projects, by the way, tend to be in like the $50,000 to $150,000 range. Tends to be where we like 6 to 18 months. Totally generalizing. I mean, it depends, right? But so let's say somebody comes to the table with 50K. They're ready to start their app idea, but they're not an entrepreneur that started something before, and they certainly haven't done an app before. Now, I think we're going to take care of them. We're going to try to build something super stable, take good care of them. But outside of hiring a good team to build it, I think you should hire the app guys. But beside the point, you got to have a good team, right? Besides that, what can people do who are new in that way to not blow their shot?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, it starts with the idea, right? Is your idea even good or not? A lot of people think their idea is good, but aren't willing to even like go out to the market to find out if it's a product people actually want and are willing to pay for.
Yep.
And it's hard. Like it's kind of a crapshoot. And part of throwing mud against the wall to see if it's going to stick is throwing a lot of mud against the wall to see what parts of the mud are going to stick. And it might not be the first $50,000, investment you make or the $150,000 app. And that's okay. Don't look at it as, that app was a failure if it didn't work. Look at it as like, okay, what are all the lessons I was able to take from that? And then try again and try again. Because it's very rare you find the person who succeeds is the one who tried one time and was like, oh, I made it. It never happens like that. And I've kind of known that my whole life. And that's why I kind of have an endless pursuit of never stopping, never giving up on stuff. And I just knew eventually it's going to hit. If it wasn't going to be VlogEasy, it was going to be the next thing. And I think it's really key to have the mindset of, okay, if this first one's a flop, it's not really a flop. It's a gold mine of lessons that you're going to take to your next one. And a lot of people don't think like that.
I totally agree. So before the app guys is now successful, right? But before the app guys, I owned a church database company that's dead, a prayer software company that's dead, and what was the third one? An app idea competition online company, dead.
Yeah.
And then the app guys was born, certainly through a lot of that stuff. So yeah, and you said you have, what was it, 3 video apps that were before this? Yeah, amazing. I love it. I totally love it. So how do people pick good team members? And then I guess another question along with that is, did you have good team members the whole time?
Yeah, I would say so. We actually had another app that we had launched previously before that. But the co-founding team was 6 of us, 4 engineers and then 2 non-technical. And that was way too many cooks in the kitchen. We built the co-founding team much too big. It's all about the team, right? And I went through the first app we built with these guys. They weren't making any money from it. Like they just pushed as hard as they can. They built as hard as they can. And I knew that these guys were the type that weren't going to give up. So when we launched Slinger, after that, I knew that I was getting, I was going in with a good team. Don't be afraid to fight with each other. In fact, fighting is actually healthy. The worst thing you can do is bottle things up so that it all comes out at once and destroys everything. It's good to put out the little forest fires before the big ones happen. Yeah. And I think a lot of co-founders at the beginning are too scared to argue with each other, a healthy argue, so they just bottle things up. But yeah, find people you can fight well with.
I like it a lot. So how do you pick like good developers?
I mean, for me, I did for me, I built a system where I just reach out to so many people on LinkedIn, and then I put different teams of developers into. I didn't know anything about development at the time. I was just like, I'm going to put all these developers into Google Hangouts and see what they do and talk to each other, who becomes the leader, who's the most knowledgeable. And then I basically interviewed developers who I wanted to be co-founders. And whoever I thought was the most impressive from that group, I would take all the winners from the separate ones and put them into a major one. And then from there, I was able to kind of find who the team was going to be.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's how I did it anyway. I don't know. It's a grind because sure. There's so many different factors, very well that, developers are not easy to come by. especially good ones. They're hoarded and paid well. So
Right.
you have to have a killer idea that's going to take them away from their $150,000, $200,000 job per year to work for.
Right. Yeah. Now, in your case, it worked out well, and it does for plenty of people. Obviously, I have an agency that makes apps for people, and I think for a lot of people, a good agency anyway, because I mean, we have people come to us all the time that went through a bad agency and it didn't go well.
Yeah.
A good agency, I think, is a good shortcut for a lot of people, because then they don't have to worry about running a team.
Yeah.
At least that part of the team, because we do that for them.
Yeah.
One of the big things for us, though, is we always when we're interviewing developers and when we're talking to people about, we tell people, hey, get like 5 quotes.
Yeah.
And it's not, we're on like a little bit of the higher end of that quote range.
Yeah.
A lot of the times.
Sorry about the dogs.
It's okay. You might hear my kids gladiator fighting in the background. But yeah, communication is so huge. Communication skills. So if you're what we tell people is, if you're talking to a designer, a company, an agency, a developer, if it's really important that they be able to grasp your idea.
Yeah.
If they start just shooting back tech talk immediately, then they're only thinking about the cold process of getting something done and not the bigger picture of things. That's a hugely important element.
Yeah, I agree.
But it sounds like one of your skills is team leadership. It sounds like that.
I don't know if it's a skill, but I don't know. I think I'm a relatively good leader. I think a good leader is somebody who's willing to be vulnerable and have the team like tell you, cut your head off when they need to. It's not anybody who leads from fear and tyranny is not building a healthy ecosystem. You have to be willing to be on the chopping block all the time. But yeah, I don't know. I'm working on it. I have a long way to go. That's for sure.
Well, man, I love what you've been doing. And so I so appreciate you telling your story, giving people the real numbers. A lot of people wouldn't do that. It's really nice of you. And so, thanks for being on. Here's what we're going to do for everyone is we're going to make sure that we link VlogEasy. I was just in there today and I noticed that all their stuff is like, as far as their paid subscriptions, are like 50% off. So you should go in there, download it while it's cheaper, because it is a high end, it's a premium product. The prices are going to keep going up. It's, even if you don't need a jump cut editor, if you are an appreneur, an entrepreneur wanting to build an app, you should download it and see what a good app looks like. It's beautiful. The interface works well. It's not full of bugs or anything like that. It's a good app to study for its business model, for its aesthetics, all of that. So, hey, man.
And that was very nice of you to say.
Yeah, no, I believe it. It's a great app. So look, thanks so much for being on, and we will link the app here for everybody.
Yep. The link that everybody's being directed to is a Samcart page where you can prepay for the lifetime deal.
Awesome.
And then we send you a link to download the app, and then you'll have it unlocked forever.
Okay, great. All right, yeah, we'll link the lifetime deal.
Awesome.
Thanks, man. Hey, you have a good one.
Thank you, Logan. Appreciate it.